Okay, thank you very much, Jessica. The reason Beatty is so afraid of her is because Clarice has the brains to change people into thinking her way. So we've identified it. We know what the error is. Can somebody help me understand why this might be a problem? This structure, the reason is because. Why is that a problem? Why is it on the list? Why am I asking you to rid your writing of it? Adriana. How so?
But it feels funny.
Okay. It's hard to explain sometimes, but you're saying weak.
Yeah.
And weak often means that it includes some word that is weak, and I agree with you on that. The reason is because includes what word that I've already identified several times over as weak? No? Is. The word because is good. I like the word because. I don't like the word is. The word is vague, weak. So you're correct, there's some weakness. There's another problem with it. Anybody see another reason that this might be problematic? Corinne? No, another reason why we wouldn't want to use this in our writing. What's problematic about it? Adriana says weak. We've identified the one point of weakness that we might have. Haley? Thank you. It's wordy. Haley, how would you fix this? And think about you saying it's wordy. If it's wordy, maybe a simple hack and slash will do this. And one more word. Bingo. Beatty is so afraid of her because Clarice has the brains to change people into thinking her way. Now I want you to take a look at those two. The reason Beatty is so afraid of her is because, or Beatty is so afraid of her because. They both basically say the same thing. However, one introduces wordiness and weakness into the sentence. We could probably make this even a little bit better. Beatty is so afraid of her because. Yeah. Oh, true. So is a weak intensifier. Is that on the list? Which number? By the way, what is the reason is because? What number? 4. Okay, so we have a number 4. The so is what number, Amma? 24? So is a weak intensifier. Intensifier means it's an adjective added to something to make it more intense. You might use a word like extremely, exceptionally. The word so is weak. What other words might you commonly use that would be weak besides so? Very? One other. Really? Thank you. And a lot, too. That's true. Although that's not usually directly attached to a word, these are directly attached to a word. Very good, really good, so good. Very afraid, really afraid, so afraid. You take that out, replace it with a word. It would basically carry the same meaning. He doesn't threaten her. Remember, it's Beatty. What is Beatty doing? Fears. Nice verb. Why does it feel uncomfortable if you speak it? Because you guys don't speak the really clear verbs quite often. Beatty fears her because Clarice... let's leave the second clause. Unless you want to try. Connor? Because she, oh, okay, so you want, I understand. Connor, it totally depends upon what the sentence previous to this was. If she had said Clarice at the end of the sentence, then she should begin the sentence with her. If she hasn't said Clarice in a while, you're correct. She should say, she should say, Beatty fears Clarice because she. But it depends upon the rest. Adriana? It is kind of weak. Has the brains to change people into thinking her way. So what do you want to do, Sarah? I was thinking that too. Although this has a lot of content. In other words, the idea of brains, having intelligence, could be important to what Jessica's saying. So You've got one solution. Let's just lop that out and say Clarice can change people into thinking her way.
Has the knowledge.
Has the knowledge, but we still have has. Clarice possesses the brains. Sounds a little bit too awkward, a little bit too much. I like to use the word possess when we're talking about demons. But Beatty fears her because Clarice can change people into thinking her way. Okay. Clarice can change people into thinking her way. Clarice can... Daniel? I'm sorry? Talk them into, and that could imply the intelligence. Good. Clarice can talk people into thinking her way. Persuade. Oh, look at that. See, you people are already starting to step ahead of me. And the idea of persuade usually includes the idea of intelligence, or at least the idea of speaking well, as I speak poorly. So, number 4, the reason is because. Quite often, the easy solution is just to hack out 3 words: reason, the, and is. Number 24, so afraid. A number of different ways that you could do this. You could take that word afraid and you could intensify it, make it a different word. What's more intense than afraid? Frightened, maybe. Scared, maybe. Horrified is, definitely. What else is? Terrified, thank you. So you could just take out so and throw in a word that's more intense. That would work. The reason Beatty is terrified of her. All right, that's more intense and we don't need the so. But I think the best way to do this is just to take fears into the sentence, hack out a lot of those words. Gesundheit. Can we have another reason is because example? Amma. Control D, please. Good. All right. Easy to identify. However, now Amma actually has content in there. What word has she introduced into the structure that brings an idea in? Simple word. What? Reasons, plural, and the word to. So we might have to revise this in a little different way, but let's try it. What do you want to do? Aaron? Correct. Is that all we must rid ourselves of? Yeah, if you take those 3 words, you must take out would be. Haven? Yeah, you could do it that way. So here's and this is why I wanted to clone this. Delete. See if this is where you're going, Haven. For 2 reasons. Period after reasons. Delete. Take out because. And begin that sentence with the word either. And then she. Is that kind of what you were looking at? Sure, you could use the 1-2 structure if you wanted to. Yep. I use the either or structure. You could use the 1-2 structure. Either one would work. both of these are clearer because both of them are less complex sentences, not as wordy. And remember, students often have this prejudice that English teachers like them to talk in sophisticated, complex fashions. Nothing could be farther from the truth. We like you to speak clearly with fewer words, getting to the point, using dense words and clear sentence structures. And here's your example. Same ideas, however, this one is much clearer, 2 sentences, shorter sentences, more to the point. This is better writing because it's simpler and clearer. This may sound more sophisticated to you, but actually it's more complicated and difficult to follow. Aaron?
Would you want to get one of the ones there?
Yes. So if we rid ourselves of very, press delete, can you intensify forgetful? Extremely forgetful? You could do that. Do we need an intensifier?
No.
Is there another adjective, like we said you could say scared or you could say horrified. Is there another adjective that we could use instead of forgetful that intensifies the idea of memory loss? Stupid? Absent-minded? That's a good one. What? Old? Old? Is that what you said? Oh. Okay. I would do one of 2 things in this case. I would revise in one of 2 ways. Either one, I'd just eliminate the intensifier and say it doesn't need to be intensified. She's forgetful. That's fine. Or I would include a better intensifier like extremely, exceptionally, extraordinarily is good too. Extremely, right. And then I would put it in all caps. And then after I did the all caps, I bold, italicize, and underline it. And there we go. I know. What? No, I would just do what I usually do, which is shake my head, bang my head on the desk a few times, and then go on with my life after taking your points away. Yes. Can we have another reason it's because? They're easy. No? Nobody else has a reason? Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. No more. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me hand it over to Connor. We'll go to an example is.